Okay, Algebra 8. This week we are doing the last two sections, 2.7 and 2.8. So these are review concepts for you. We have solved equations. The only thing new is that we're going to be doing them with rational numbers. So you're going to see some fractions and decimals in there. So to undo an operation, we're just going to review this. To undo addition, you have to subtract. To undo subtraction, you have to add. To undo multiplication, you have to divide. And to undo division, you have to multiply. Okay, so when you look at an equation, I always like to draw the line. You locate the variable and you ask yourself, what's happening to that variable? So what's happening here is 17.5 is being subtracted. So if 17.5 is being subtracted, you need to do the opposite. And the opposite of subtraction is to add. So we are going to add 17.5 to both sides of that equation. Now this just causes it to cancel out because then minus 17.5 plus 17.5 zeroes out. And we end up with y equals. Now with decimals, you have to add with the decimals lined up. And you can just imagine a 0 here. 0 plus 5 is 5. 7 plus 1 is 8. 1 plus 1 is 2. So your answer is y equals 28.5. And in order to check, you would just put that in and see if that makes sense. Okay, your next one. I like to draw my line, locate your variable. If the number and the variable are touching, they are being multiplied. So you need to undo multiplication by division. You divide by a negative 4.2, and you divide this side by a negative 4.2. These cancel, and bring down your p. Now, obviously this I can't do right there, so I'm just gonna go off to the side. 12.6 divided by 4.2. You need to move your decimal point. Now we have 42. How many times is 42? It does not go into 1, does not go into 12. Let's see, 126. I am just going to test. I know it's going to be more than 2, so I'm going to test 3. And look at that, it comes out perfect. So this would be a 3. Now it's a positive divided by a negative, so that means that it's a negative 3. Okay. Your next one, t is being divided by 7.5, so you need to multiply by a 7.5. T equals 4 times 7.5. I told you guys before to put the one with the more digits on the top. 5 times 4 is 20. 7 times 4 is 28 plus 2 is 30. And then you need to compensate for the one decimal that we have by moving this over one spot. So your answer is 30. Okay. Couple more. Now we're going to do some with fractions. Same type of thing. Draw your line. What's happening to x? Well, 1/9 is being added to x. So how do you do addition? We subtract. So we're going to subtract 1/9. Okay, now sometimes people have a better chance of looking at this vertically or horizontally, I mean. But one thing that I like to think about is think about it more as combining. So I have a negative 4/9, and I'm going to take and combine it with another negative 1/9. So that's going to give you negative 5/9. If you would look at this horizontally, oops, sorry, minus 1/9. It's not minus a negative 1/9. It's just minus 1/9. But we add the opposite, so you add that negative to there. I should just rewrite that for you. It was negative 4/9 minus 1/9. But I always like to add the opposite. So it's like taking negative 4/9 plus 1/9. It gives you negative 5/9. Try to simplify. We can't simplify. Letter E. So with this is being multiplied, But notice that every time we divide, we skip, flip, and multiply. So what you can do anytime you have a fraction here, you can just flip and multiply. 5/3. And that's what I said, what's the trick with dividing fractions. So the cool thing here is that 3 and 3, 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 3 one time. So this turns into 1 times 5, which is 5, 16 times 1, which is 16, and there's your answer. Okay. Last, we'll just do a little word problem here. It says Sully has agreed to paint 3 houses. He knows that he can paint 2/5 of a house in 1 day. How many days will it take him to paint all 3 houses? Okay, so here's the thing. He has a total of 3 houses. He knows he can paint 2/5 times the number of days he's going to paint, and he has to paint a total of 3 houses. Okay, so this is an equation for us. Again, you can draw your line. How do you undo multiplication? Well, we are going to divide, but when you divide a fraction, we can multiply by the inverse, and this is one of the best tricks. So these cancel. 3, if it's a whole number, you can make it a fraction by putting over 1. 3 times 5 is 15. 1 times 2 is 2. This would give us 2 goes into 15 perfectly 7 times, and that gives you 14. So 7.5 days is your result. Okay? So, same type of thing that you guys have practiced before, just throwing those fractions and decimals in there. Following your steps is going to give you the best results.